Chapter 281 Doctor. Soon, Chen-jun and William went down to the bottom of the basement. The space here was unexpectedly large. Just like another experimental area. Here, they saw the colorful bug that Lin Qing said. It has beautiful and colorful wings. The body is grayish-white. And the tentacles and pedipalps are also silvery white. It doesn't look like a bug, but like some kind of human creation. But now, it is guarding in front of a white smart sensor door, shaking its tentacles from time to time, as if it is alert to the surrounding environment. Ex-hero, I will lead it away. You go in to save Xiaoqiao. They are probably here. Warrior, okay. Time is tight, and it is not clear what will happen next. After a brief discussion, they began to act quickly. The blond man came to another passage from a hidden place with the help of nearby cover. Then he took out his weapon and shot at the colorful bug. The colorful bug seemed to be attacked, and instantly flapped its wings to protect itself. The powerful particle beam seemed to shoot into a piece of water and disappeared instantly. Fuck. It can also absorb energy. The blond man saw that something was wrong and ran away immediately. At the same time, he threw a bomb in the direction of the colorful bug, trying to attract its attention while seeing if conventional weapons could cause damage to it. However, after the smoke, the colorful bug only shook its body except for the debris from the wall scattered on its body, and then spread its wings and flew towards William. Immortal body? What on earth is this? Fortunately, this experimental area also looks complicated, and it seems that it can be delayed for a while. He thought of Chen-jun in his heart, and took the opportunity to send her a message. Wu Jiang. How are you? After William led the strange insect away, Chen-jun first observed for a while, and confirmed that no other colorful insects appeared, and then approached the door of the laboratory it was guarding. When she clenched the handle, and was about to push the door in, she suddenly heard Xiaoqiao's voice from inside. Woo woo woo. Who will save me? Chen-jun's heart was shocked, and she immediately kicked the door in. When she saw the scene in front of her clearly, her heart was also tight, and she instantly felt like she had fallen into a horrible execution ground. In this laboratory, there are all kinds of dismembered organs and limbs of the Zerg, exuding an indescribable smell. Looking inside, it seems to be an operating room, and you can even see a vague figure wearing a white coat and a blue mask, who seems to be operating something inside. General. Wu. When Xiaoqiao saw her, she immediately looked forward to it and whispered, "Come and save me." In this place, except for Xiaoqiao who was tied up, and the mutant player lying in the blue nutrition cabin not far away, there were no other guards. It seems that the owner of this laboratory is very confident in the guards outside the door. Not knowing what the people inside wanted to do, Chen-jun could only hurry to save Xiaoqiao. However, while cutting Xiaoqiao's rope, the people inside also walked out of the operating room, because he was wearing a mask, a white coat, and an isolation cap. Chen-jun couldn't see his face clearly. He just felt that this was a person similar to humans. Nothing more. At this time, Barbara's voice came from the screen not far away. "Sorry, Doctor. I failed to stop them from entering your laboratory. It was my mistake." Hearing Barbara's voice here, Chen-jun was not surprised. After all, Lin Qing told him that there was someone behind Barbara who was accusing her. He obviously wanted them to go to the experimental area, not the botanical garden where Xiaoqiao accidentally came. Now that she is here, it seems that she has disrupted his plan. However, surprisingly, the doctor mentioned by Barbara suddenly laughed and spoke. "It's okay. Good boy. You have done very well." When he laughed, it was obviously a very rational and gentle female voice. The doctor took off the gloves for surgery, the blood-stained mask and isolation lab coat, and while dealing with the blood on his body, he did not forget to greet Chen-jun. "I didn't expect that even Barbara didn't stop you from coming here. It seems that we are still very destined. Why don't you sit down and have a good chat?" When Chen-jun heard the doctor mentioned by Barbara, he already had a bottom line in his heart. This is undoubtedly consistent with Lin Qing's guess. Now I don't know what the doctor is up to. Chen-jun decided to continue acting according to the predetermined plan. She sneered and didn't intend to follow the doctor's words. "You are the one who did everything here? How can I trust you and sit down to chat with you? Why do you do this?" Hearing Chen-jun's words, the doctor laughed again. "These are all good questions, but they need to be explained one by one. But I'm sorry. I don't have time to explain now. My most perfect work has been born. He will be the highest creation of humans and Zerg, leading us to the top of the tree of life evolution. Qin didn't quite understand what he said, but she roughly understood that this was another crazy and funny scientist. She listened to the doctor talking to himself. But thank you for sending me batch after batch of humans, and providing me with suitable experimental subjects. I am very satisfied. She had a gentle smile in her eyes, and she looked as gentle as an ordinary university professor. But the words she said made people dumbfounded again and again. According to Lin Qing, these players were called landers by the artificial intelligence of the space station because this place was abandoned and unmanned. It is estimated that people from other spacecraft will send personnel to land here for exploration. Unexpectedly, these were all used as experimental consumables by this doctor. And this was an unethical experiment. However, behind her, the experimental subject slowly stood up. She was a little girl wearing a white hospital gown, with long black hair and a pale face, looking like she was asleep. But behind her, a pair of beautiful wings as soft as water were spread out. In the glittering wings, the little girl seemed to start breathing, then gained energy, and then opened her beautiful empty eyes. When seeing these eyes, even Qin didn't know why, but felt a sense of emptiness and powerlessness. It was like meeting the final destination, or the ancestor deep in the blood, which made people feel excited and had to obey. In human history, there have been countless disputes, wars, and injustices. Even in the era of interstellar exploration, there are countless beautiful alien creatures that have been destroyed. Chapter 282 God. The doctor seemed to be preaching with great emotion. All this is because humans do not have their own God, or the ultimate. After his birth, all people will be connected to a stable spiritual network and transformed by him. We will inherit the genes of the Zerg and become a new race in the universe. Qin. How could Lin Qing guess so accurately? She really entered the cult propaganda site. But it seems that this should be part of the space station copy. Since the boss said it, she would not refuse. So she continued to listen. This Alpha 139 star is the birthplace of the Zerg. I found the genes left by the lost Zerg queen here, and combined them into the body of my daughter Barbara. As the new god, he will reorganize the Zerg army and, with the evolved humans as the leader, march towards other universes. Here, humans will no longer fear the cruelty of the universe, and have more chances to survive. Our goal is a peaceful sea of stars, not a flame filled with war. Although the only person at the scene was Qin and Xiao Qiao, the doctor's tone was as enthusiastic and excited as if he was standing on a podium for a speech to thousands of people. Qin even suspected that maybe Barbara was still recording an MV for her, so that she could put it somewhere for preaching and brainwashing in the future. Otherwise, this enthusiasm would be too terrible. At this moment, the doctor suddenly looked at Qin and smiled. As the people of the new god, you will be allowed to be the first to be granted genetic modification by the new god. This topic was a little jumpy, and Qin was a little confused. She clenched her weapon and signaled to Xiao Qiao next to her that they should leave quickly if the situation got bad. However, at this moment, the door of the laboratory behind them was opened again. The colorful butterfly caught the blond man and flew in. His body was also entangled by the tentacles of the insects, and it seemed that he could not move for the time being. Hi. We meet again. I didn't expect so many people here. I was also invited to be a guest here. It seems that I came at the right time. William raised his head and looked around. Although he was caught, his mentality was still relatively good. They caught a nest of people and went straight into the boss's lair, feeling the strong murderous intent behind him. Qin also calmed down. This was a little different from what Lin Qing said. Although the progress of the main task has been advanced, their situation is now worse. However, at this moment, the little girl in the operating room suddenly began to shed tears of blood between her eyes, as if something had collapsed, and some kind of adhesive liquid began to flow out of the stitches and breaks of her body. The enthusiastic doctor suddenly stopped. His face suddenly turned cold, and he checked the indicators around him. The body has no rejection, and the gene fusion is also very good. What's going on? The spirit network has a strong rejection. How is this possible? When she saw a certain data, she suddenly realized that something was wrong. It was also the reason for him to collapse. It was because the Zerg on the space station did not accept Barbara's spirit network, but rejected the main network at the same time. On the contrary, at the other end of the Zerg, a new powerful spirit energy gathered and crushed Barbara's spirit network. This is the source of MS collapse. What on earth is going on? How could another Zerg queen appear on the space station? How is this possible? The doctor's hand speed was fast, and he asked artificial intelligence to help her find the truth. Finally, a surveillance picture of Barbara was displayed on the doctor's computer. That was the woman who had just gone to the experimental area. She should have been caught in the Zerg trap and become a new experimental subject. But unexpectedly, she was still walking freely in the corridor of the experimental area. And she was even alive. What on earth is going on? Although the doctor couldn't figure it out at first, the change of things was obviously happening to her. Something was getting out of her control. The doctor looked at the three humans now, and his face had turned cold. It was obvious that they were playing a game of feinting to the east and attacking to the west. Now because of them, her creation is on the verge of collapse again. Kai Dai. Bring Barbara out. No matter what. The experimental data collection must be completed. I want to see with my own eyes what the effect is. Hiss hiss hiss. The colorful insect holding the blonde man seemed to understand what the doctor said. It put him down, entered the operating room, and carried out the little girl who looked like a puppet. Qin Jun then noticed that there was a kind of sharp and transparent object like a stinger on the fingertips of the little girl. It seemed that this was the reason why the doctor wanted to get the experimental data. If she was stabbed by this thing and turned into a monster that was neither human nor ghost, Qin Jun still felt that it was a bit unacceptable. Taking advantage of the gap in space, she took out the black gold ancient knife and chopped at the insect that blocked them, and then chopped directly on the stinger of the little girl. However, this thing was stronger than she thought. Just like touching steel, it was indestructible. Qin Jun realized what the doctor meant by the new god just now. It seemed that it was no longer afraid of conventional weapons. Her heart sank, as if knowing what Qin Jun was thinking. The doctor smiled and said, "It's useless. His body is made up of the bodies of high-level insects contributed. This is just a simple human appearance. I didn't expect it to be true. Could it be that Lin Qing's arrangement was not correct?" When Qin Jun was hesitant, the colorful insect that was chopped but had no problem had already walked over with the little girl in his arms. It seemed that they had no choice now. "Hey, doctor, follow the principle of men first. Otherwise, if you have any problems, stab me first. I have thick skin and flesh, which can give the two ladies present some confidence." "Okay. Of course. I like obedient experimental subjects the most." Hearing this, the doctor's temper was unexpectedly good, and the colorful bugs turned around and walked towards the tied blonde man. Qin Jun was a little anxious in her heart. Although the blonde man had props, they could not play much role now. But just now when she touched, her arm seemed to be sprayed with some kind of powder, and began to numb and purple. However, at this moment, the automatic doors of the experimental door were suddenly opened by someone from the outside, and bugs crawled in from the outside, as if they were on the way. One of them climbed directly onto the experimental nutrition cabin of the mutant player, picked up his nutrition cabin and walked away, without even noticing the doctor not far away. Chapter 283 Rescue. Seeing this scene, it was obviously out of control. The doctor's face was livid. Seeing those originally obedient bugs, they just carried away the mutant humans in the nutrition cabin, as if they didn't see her here. They didn't even give her time to react. The remaining ones were afraid of Barbara and the colorful bugs, but they were biting closer, and it seemed that they wanted to take away the three humans in front of them. This was obviously a rebellion. The doctor was furious. "Are you rebelling?" At this time, the colorful bugs followed with a hissing sound, which seemed to be deterring these traitors, who suddenly broke in. The little girl also raised her eyes to look at them, obviously with a warning. In this case, the bugs that broke in paused for a moment, and seemed to think for a moment in a very human way, but after that, the bugs also made a hissing threat in their mouthparts, and it seemed that they were not affected much. They even began to catch the human prey again in a blatant way. The colorful bug also put William down and started to fight with the offending bugs, although it was quite powerful and broke the head of a bug in the front. It did not scare the other bugs. They even fought to cover themselves and let their companions behind them carry the three humans on the ground without sacrificing themselves. "Barbara, you command these guys." At this time, the doctor saw that the deterrence of the colorful bugs was useless. So he turned to the little girl behind him. But the little girl was obviously still in a state of collapse, and had no energy to control the bugs. She shook her head palely. "Sorry, Mom. I can't do it." The doctor could only grit his teeth and watch them run away. What a waste. Barbara, I am so disappointed in you. At this time, the artificial intelligence of the space station also spoke. Doctor, do you still want to track these traitorous bugs? The doctor said angrily. Where are they now? If I hadn't hatched these traitorous guys, would they be alive? Barbara, start the next batch of replicas. This time add the extracted fusion gene. I don't believe that we can't eliminate these traitorous guys. Jun was shocked by the situation in front of her. I didn't expect that when they were in danger. It seemed that a group of bugs saved them. This scene was too magical, and she had to take some time to accept it. Could it be that this is Lin Qing's backup plan? Jun murmured. But she felt that these bugs caught them not to save them, as if they were treated as food for snatching. Just like two different kinds of ants fighting. Just because of two pieces of cake that fell on the ground? Although she knew it was wrong to compare them to cakes. She just had this strange feeling. William was carried by another bug. Although he couldn't move his whole body, his tone was very cheerful. Oh my god. I thought we were going to be wiped out just now. But I didn't expect such a big show. Letting a group of bugs come to the rescue. It seems that I am also the chosen one. This is the treatment that only the protagonist can have. But Xiao Qiao, who was not far away, began to sob softly. Woo woo woo. What should we do? Are we going to be taken away and eaten by these bugs? What do they want to do by snatching us away? Jun looked at two unreliable teammates. And one of them had been lying in the nutrition cabin for a long time. And she didn't know where he was transported to. She had a headache now. Now Lin Qing's whereabouts were unknown. And she didn't know what was going on. Although a group of bugs came to rescue. The task of exploring the dungeon fell on her. She basically figured out the doctor's purpose. And the person behind all this should be her. However, the completion prompt of Task 2 was still not completed. And there should be some clues that had not been found. Which meant that she had to explore. She first used the healing props on herself to remove the toxins that she had accidentally taken. And then she carefully observed the bugs around her, intending to take the opportunity to attack. The bugs that came to rob them looked varied and strange. But without exception, they were all tall, with hard shells and weapons that flashed cold light. Although Jun had the ability to deal with one in a short time, William and Xiao Qiao were also there. If she wanted to rescue them without alarming the bugs, it seemed a bit difficult. Jun could only wait and see where these insects would take them. The insects carried their prey in an orderly manner, crawling quickly on the ground of the botanical garden, and then walked out of the gate and carried them to the laboratory where Lin Qing had gone. The underground laboratory in the botanical garden was obviously built by the doctor privately to conduct various unethical experiments. This experimental area, however, seemed to be a place for serious research on this planet. From weather and soil, water quality, and even terrain distribution, there were specialized personnel to handle and analyze. Although this is called the experimental area, it is obviously the area where the experimental personnel of this space station work. Jun understood that it seemed that this space station really existed for this planet. So there were so many people to explore it. If it weren't for the doctor, they might succeed. But the doctor's approach was obviously more extreme. This planet inhabited by Zerg, and with so much mineral energy, if it is really controlled by humans, it may be good or bad, and it may also cause a greater crisis. Just as she was thinking about it, the bugs suddenly lined up and entered a seemingly closed room. It seems that this is where they are coming. Jun looked alert and reminded the other two companions. Be careful. I don't know what is here. Since it can control so many bugs, it is obviously more powerful than the doctor. So we still need to pay attention. Understood. The blonde man nodded while lying down, and suddenly said seriously, by the way, you haven't read Journey to the West. We are now like the protagonists tied up. We were taken from one pot, and then snatched by another group of goblins into another pot in another cave. Be prepared to not escape. Xiao Qiao's expression suddenly tightened. No. What should we do now? Jun pursed her lips. Believe in Lin Qing. At least she did it, and didn't let us suffer other injuries. Now she is still alive. As long as we survive 36 hours, there is a great chance of success. But before she finished speaking, after being carried into the room, she saw the mutant player lying in the nutrition cabin. It didn't look very good, and it was still transforming into an alien. The next second, a familiar voice came, which made her even more shocked. Chapter 284 Reserve Food. Time goes back to when Lin Qing and them agreed on the plan. Lin Qing told them in the team that since the space station was full of Zergs, and they didn't know what kind of people were behind the scenes manipulating everything, they simply pretended to quarrel and explored separately, creating a false impression of disharmony to confuse the person behind the scenes and make him show up. She now has a prop that simulates Zergs, so it is better to go deep into the monsters, which should be able to control all the bugs to provide them with a trend to reverse the situation. Several players split into two groups. Lin Qing went to the experimental area by himself, while Chen Jun and William went to the botanical garden to rescue Xiao Qiao and the mutant players. Chen Jun did enter the underground of the botanical garden and accidentally discovered a crazy scientist who was doing experiments. Because of the arrogance of the scientist, she even learned some of the truth behind the scenes. This undoubtedly promoted a large part of Task 2. It's just that they were almost transformed into a new type of human because of the crazy scientist. All this seems to be similar to Lin Qing's speculation, and Chen Jun believes her more and more. Although Chen Jun didn't know how Lin Qing did all this, but she vaguely felt that this was undoubtedly related to Lin Qing's prop. Now that they were intact, they had to see how Lin Qing was doing now. I won't eat a mutated human. The woman sat on the platform, looking lazy and slumped. And behind her, there was a giant worm crawling on the ground, looking particularly docile, like some kind of puppy expecting a response from its owner. Hiss. Hiss. The worm that brought Chen Jun and the others in made a different frequency sound, seemingly trying to attract the woman's attention. Is this the food prepared for me? When the woman looked over, Chen Jun's uneasy premonition became a reality. There was no familiar emotion in her eyes. Instead, she looked like she was looking at the food, judging whether it was delicious and fragrant. Chen Jun didn't know why she understood this expression, but this familiar yet unfamiliar face was obviously Lin Qing. Could this be her role-playing prop? Chen Jun was half believing and half doubting. She was treated as a treasure by the insects and transported to the bottom of the platform, as if she was offered a delicacy. William said, I said, no matter where we are transported to, it's a dish. But it's a mutated dish or a non-mutated dish. There doesn't seem to be much difference. Xiao Qiao, woo woo woo. Rich boss. Don't scare us. Look carefully. I'm a human. A human. I can't eat it. The woman obviously didn't take their words seriously. She just glanced at them twice, didn't walk down the platform, and continued to sleep on the chair made of something unknown. The bugs below began to hiss again, and it seemed that they had started a discussion. William, oh. Do you mean to despise us? It seems that we are still saved. Xiao Qiao, I knew that. How could the rich man who got rich overnight really become a bug? Only Chen Jun felt a little uneasy in her heart. The state of the person in front of her was obviously not Lin Qing. The look in his eyes that was looking at them was like a cold and ruthless god, looking at the feelings of the bugs, and he didn't take them seriously at all. This kind of emotion that was revealed unintentionally was not achieved by easy disguise. Chen Jun felt a little uneasy when she thought of the words Lin Qing left for her. Lin Qing told her, even if you fall into my hands, don't trust me. I guess I may not be able to control my state at that time. This should be the uncontrollable state that Lin Qing said. It seems that she asked these insects to save them, and she was also in a state of food reserve. Seeing that the leader was dissatisfied, the insects who had just transported the prey back did not feel much loss. Some of them continued to hiss, and it seemed that they wanted to communicate with the people above, while the other part was responsible for transporting them out and locked them directly in a room, apparently as food reserves. Chen Jun didn't know whether it was good luck or an accident that there were no missing arms and legs. At least these insects didn't think about biting off a piece of meat to taste or something. With a bang, the door of the room was closed tightly, and the threatening sound of the insects came from outside, which seemed to warn them not to run away casually. The poison in Chen Jun's body has basically been cured by the props. As soon as she entered the room, she immediately checked the conditions of Xiao Qiao and William and used the props to remove the toxins. Seeing that the two people's complexions had improved a lot, and their heartbeats and breathing had returned to normal, she was relieved. They now looked like they were being kept in captivity, but at least they were safe now. After doing this, Chen Jun immediately checked the environment. She just knew that they were in the experimental area, but the experimental area was also divided into many detailed departments. She checked the desktop notes in this room and found that this was actually an office for the ground exploration team. Seeing this note, Chen Jun remembered Lin Qing's words. This space station was probably a temporary base transformed from an exploration spacecraft. They would send a ground team to collect various data and samples. Logically speaking, this would consume a lot of manpower and experimental resources. However, perhaps because there are too many Zerg on this planet, or perhaps it is difficult to build a base on the ground. So this space station was chosen as the base. She casually flipped open a page of the exploration report, or diary, which recorded the exploration content of one of the teams. On July 11th, 4632, in the 4th month after arriving at Alpha 139. Although we discovered high-energy mineral detection on this planet, we did not expect that there are countless bugs under the ground of this planet. This is simply terrible. These damn bugs are just like leeches entangled with us. Several of my team members have died in the caves in the exploration area. I still have half of the exploration equipment lost in it. Fortunately, the communicator is still there, and the base received my message. Otherwise the whole army would be wiped out. According to the doctor's request, we went deep into the cave of this race to find the reproduction method of these insects. After all, this is completely different from the insects on our planet. The doctor said that it has great research value and must bring back samples for research. By the way, are these insects actually intelligent? They seem to have completed a certain evolution of intelligence in a short period of time. Just like cavemen suddenly became humans, and can use our weapons to fight back. This is incredible. By the way, can the doctor really successfully hatch these eggs? If the hatching is successful, and we can use them, it is indeed a good idea. At least we don't have to deal with those stink bugs ourselves. Chapter 285 Explorer. Hey, I have one here too. Could this be where the base stores exploration logs? William also picked up a chip, opened it, and checked the notes on the screen. March 21st. 4632. The 1st month after arriving at Alpha 139. Alpha 139 doesn't look like a habitable planet, but it has such a large energy fluctuation. The commander of the base was very excited and immediately sent several exploration teams to the surface of the planet to search for data. I am responsible for collecting meteorological data. To be honest, the data uploaded from the remote sensing satellite is simply worse than that of the Blue Star. The planetary storm that lasted for half a year can reshape the surface of Alpha 139 and generate a new surface scene. Perhaps the terrain we can observe now was formed half a year ago. It's strange. Why is there oxygen on this planet? Are there any living things here? Perhaps they are carbon-based. Are we going to discover a new alien race? This is news comparable to the discovery of the New World during the Age of Discovery. But the base commander remained silent about this. It seems that some content was hidden in the high-level reports from Blue Star. I don't quite understand what the base commander's purpose is. It's incredible. The evolution of life here is beyond our imagination. In a short time after the storm subsided, native alien plants actually grew on this pale yellow planet. According to our estimation, the oxygen here should be generated by these plants. But in just half a year, they will be buried and torn apart by the planetary storm again. The seeds left behind will breed the next generation again after the storm. However, what are those powerful energy reactions? How did the energy form on this seemingly barren planet? It seems that we need more ground teams to transmit data for us. William quickly scanned the man's log and concluded, the one here should be a scientific researcher. He went down to the ground and recorded and analyzed some very professional data. However, this guy did not record the changes in the space station. It seems that he died early. Chen Jun nodded and scanned the log records of another worker. I have a discovery here, which seems to be related to the doctor. Let's investigate first, and then summarize it in the end. Okay, General. Xiao Qiao also joined their team and began to actively look up information. In this log in Chen Jun's hand, the recorder mainly talked about the exploration records on the ground. BF5 Team Interstellar Record on April 7th. 4632, after the planetary storm stopped. A new ecology was generated on the surface. The data transmitted back to the base by remote sensing data shows that today is a very suitable day for exploration. I took 4 team members and continue to explore this strange planet like other teams. To be honest, although this planet is rich in mineral energy, the environmental cycle here is too bad, and the planetary gravity is unexpectedly small, and the creatures grow particularly large. I have encountered more than one giant bug. Although they look stupid and not dangerous, they always remind people of those cockroaches crawling on the ground on rainy days, which makes people want to attack them. One of my team members couldn't help but attack. Although I had warned them to be afraid of the ecology of this planet. They may have been away from home for too long and were too depressed. So they did this impulsively. I had already made plans to fight back against more bugs. But I didn't expect that the other bugs didn't have any malice, but ate the injured bug instead. Although the bugs didn't attack us, I always felt a little uneasy. Maybe I was overthinking. I still have to speed up the exploration. After all, we don't have much time left. We have to quickly conduct energy exploration and landform surveys. If it's appropriate, this may become a new continent to be discovered. My worries became a reality. Although the injured bug was eaten. After that, there were no other consequences. But on the second day, they took the initiative to attack me and my teammates. I fled into an underground cave after being injured. And the other members of the BF5 team disappeared. Damn. What did I see? These insects are actually intelligent. And they can actually work together and even grow food underground. This is incredible. But it doesn't matter if you think about it. After all, insects are just insects. Even if an ant is magnified 100 times, it is just an animal that can understand the plane. It is saying something to me. This is the leader of an insect. It looks advanced. It is actually gesturing in front of me. Does it want to talk to me? No. Can it understand the communication between us? It understands human language. This recorder's log ends here. It seems that this is just a piece of data transmitted back, which leads to an abrupt end without any results. However, there are so many log backups here, with records of different staff members. Chen Jun carefully checked the chip number and found a log record of the experimenter. Record of May 1st, 4632 StarCraft. During this period, the ground team was frequently attacked by those surface bugs. I really hope that this phenomenon can get better. After all, my boyfriend Ken is still in the ground team. If this phenomenon becomes more serious, I don't know if Ken can come back from below. Ken said before that they explored the Zerg cave under the surface. The architecture there unexpectedly fascinated them. It was like an underground palace built by an artist. I really hope to have a chance to go down there and take a look. Let's go back to the recent experiment. This is a egg. Under the guidance of the doctor. This egg needs to be dissected. After all, judging from the insect's fascination with it, this egg must be very important to them. It's really surprising that this egg, which looks broken and shriveled, actually has a mummified embryo. This should be the larva of the Zerg. For some reason, it stopped developing and the cells remain dormant. However, since they can survive the global storm, this may be the instinct evolved by the Zerg. In such a harsh environment, they chose an unfriendly way of development. This group of creatures is really very hard. Chapter 286 Problem. King came back from the ground this time and brought back more eggs. But he was also injured. And it looked like he was seriously injured. Oh my god. I really hope he can survive. I didn't expect that the seemingly docile insects would be so ferocious when attacking. The owner of this log has a very complete record, although some of the ground is filled with his own mumbling. Chen Jun still knows a lot of information she wants to get. It seems that this person should be the assistant of the doctor, and should know a lot of information. So she continued to read it. The doctor seems to be too obsessed with the study of Zerg recently. I don't know why. But every time I see her, I always feel that her eyes are filled with madness that I don't understand. After all, she is the top biological scientist on Blue Star. The doctor should have this spirit to become a doctor. I feel that I am far away from the doctor's spirit. It is indeed a scientist's madness. Perhaps, the doctor's ideas are sometimes too advanced. Although we are studying Zerg, at least we cannot do it in violation of ethics. Others in the group are also routinely opposed. It seems that I am not the only one who disagrees with this matter. Although Barbara is the doctor's child, she is used to verify. Is a gene of the Zerg feasible? This sounds too crazy. Although Barbara is dying of cancer, I still hope she can spend this time happily rather than being an experimenter. Is Barbara really well? This seems to prove that the doctor's theory is successful. Alas, but I always feel that using the genes of the Zerg is not a good thing. This creature is too powerful and abnormal in my opinion. After all, as long as there is a head, the whole body can grow. Isn't this something that only the devils in hell can do? Anyway, I started to retreat and asked for a leave of absence. I don't want to participate in the doctor's research for the time being. And I will take care of the unconscious Ken by the way. I heard from colleagues in other groups that the unique planetary energy can cause a devastating impact even for some powerful bugs. This clean and randomly available energy quickly attracted the attention of the ground exploration team. This sounds good, but the bugs on the ground are also innocent. Alas, this trend cannot be stopped by me alone. Doctor, why did she have such an idea? I was really scared. Although we have made a lot of research results with the in-depth study of the Zerg, it is too bold. I really hope that the doctor can think about it carefully. Maybe the doctor is right. It is not only humans who have the most advantages in the universe. Could it be that the future really belongs to these bugs? They seem to have some kind of specific communication network. When one bug learns something, other bugs can learn the same content even if they are thousands of miles away. But they have their own unique understanding. After this experiment, I really changed my view of bugs. Compared with humans, the advantages of this race are really too strong. I really don't know what to do. When I saw this, the diary record stopped abruptly and stopped on July 28th. Chen Jun was thoughtful. The doctor had already tried to brainwash them. So when he looked at these logs, Chen Jun had no problem. According to the summary of these data, one thing that can be concluded is, this explorer from the blue planet was attracted by the energy of this planet to observe and record. And then alien creatures appeared. Among them, the researchers headed by the doctor have conducted research on this group and even mastered the method of controlling them. Combined with the current situation of the space station, the reason for the change here is closely related to the doctor's experiment. Maybe this madman took the initiative to attack in order to achieve his own goal. It's a pity for these explorers. The data obtained through hard exploration only helped the doctor alone. At this time, Xiao Qiao also made a new discovery. General, an experimenter here recorded that the doctor and his team have mastered the method of controlling the Zerg, which is to create a fusion life form of a higher Zerg, because these insects have hierarchical actions from top to bottom. So this is the best way to control them. Chen Jun nodded. The crazy scientist just said that she has created a new god that can fuse humans and Zerg mothers. If it weren't for the preparations of Baofu, we would have failed the mission. William, aren't you all talking about what you already know? Look at my research on the Zerg ruins. It is said that the Zerg queen is the origin and master of everything, and can also be regarded as their god. The Zerg rely on the spiritual network to connect. If they lose the queen, they will lose many opportunities to evolve. If the queen is found, the Zerg will regain their glory, and they will not even live on a small planet, but even move towards the universe. Chen Jun, the doctor also seems to have mentioned that the new humans can do this. The reason why she is trying so hard to change is that she wants to dominate the universe? But it is true that if it can evolve into a creature that can survive in a vacuum, it is simply a superhuman existence. No wonder the doctor is so crazy about it. But even though they have explored so much, there is still no news about the progress of Mission 2. Lin Qing's condition does not look good now. If Mission 2 cannot be completed within 36 hours, it means that they cannot unlock more props. This is not a solution. Chen Jun recalled what she had missed in the content she had just read. After all, there are quite a few logs stored here, and the content is enough. Since Lin Qing arranged them to enter here, she must have her ideas. But even if the three of them read for 36 hours without sleep, they can't finish reading 1/10 of the content of these logs. The doctor is so afraid of the investigators who landed in this abandoned space station, and even wants to control these humans. It must be because her experiment has also attracted the attention of other humans. After all, the disappearance of an exploration base will definitely attract other explorers. Not to mention that this space station has been abandoned for so long, even if it has become a ghost ship. At this time, William suddenly discovered something. This researcher said that it is impossible for human and Zerg genes to merge. Zerg genes are too powerful. This can only be regarded as engulfment. When gene engulfment is irreversible, human genes can only be fused into part of Zerg genes. This is also the reason for the other party's opposition. Gene reversal potion can only be used before the transformation into Zerg is completed. It seems that the mutant player can still be saved,